Hi there. So today we're talking about something that's really important and something we don't always give as much as attention to. So today we're talking about the EberVet shopping experience of excellence. So go back to the reason why we do things, because if we don't do that, we kind of lose track of the reason why we even do things. And the EberVet why, the kind of the reason why we do it, is very simple. We want to improve on pretty much everything that there is to be improved. And the way of life is that there's always something to improve on. But then we have to ask ourselves, so why do we even bother to do that? Well, it's very simple. First of all, we want to improve ourselves, surely. We want to be healthier. We want to have positive relationships. We want to have a happy life. So we involved a lot of other people in our lives, co-workers. We want to do the best we can for our patients, our clients. We want to be good family members, and obviously we'll be friends, and we want to make a contribution to the community and at the end of the day to our planet. And how do we do that? We do this with innovation, by thinking a little bit out of the box, by looking at a problem and thinking of other ways how to solve this. We're doing this with training, which is pretty much what we're doing in this training module, and with coaching, and the best part is collaboration with others. So the question that we have to ask ourselves is, why do we want people, or why do people shop at the EberVet Pet Care Group? Because there are really a lot of other options for people. Why would they not want to go shop at a grocery stores at the top here, where prices are good, they've got loads of things to decide on and to choose from. And then there's obviously the other chains, the franchise chains of vet shops, and then there are other clinics. Why would they want to come and shop at our place? And not just does it end there, there's obviously all these online possibilities lately. Pet stores take a lot. All these places you can go on the internet and you can buy products there. So what makes that experience then different of shopping at the EberVet experience? We need to go back to the really basics of what animals really need. And we're not just talking, and we as a human species, we also animal. So there are three things that we need to have every day. Okay, maybe not every day. Some of this we need every day. Water, for instance, we need every day. We need food, and we need shelter. Without these three things, we will eventually die. But the difference then come in. These ShopRite, Pick n Pay, Spar, and we like to think all our competitors, they do that. They can provide the shelter, the water, and the food. But we at the EberVet Group, we know something else, because we know that pets don't just need that. They need a lot more other things. They need to do things with us. They are curious little creatures. They want to be with us. They have a sense of fun. They have an emotional contact with us. They just want to be with us. This is the difference and the part that we really get. And then obviously the other important thing that makes us different is that we have this interaction with the client. We have a real person that we're talking to. If you go stand in the queue of Pick n Pay, you're not going to get anybody to talk to you. You're going to be standing there and wondering what to get, and you'll be wondering, is this safe for my pet? Is this the right product that I'm getting? Where here in the vet shops, we are going to tell you all of that stuff. You can ask us questions. All these things that you're concerned about will be sorted out here within the shop. Something else we do different is that we demonstrate how to actually do things, as in how to apply and tick and flea remedies. Here's a little dog. It's a fluffy dog. It's a toy. So we can show you exactly where to put the flea and the tick remedy. we can fit a collar for you. We can fit a harness for you, which sometimes can be a bit of a difficult situation. You don't know where all these straps go. And how to give a pill to an animal. So we're giving you information where you're not going to get a checklist. Something else, you could just tell them where a microchip goes. So microchips we don't do at the vet shops, but you will definitely obviously get that at clinics, and it is something that a conversation might just come up. They say they're concerned. The owner might say they're concerned about the safety of the pet, but they're also even more concerned if they've heard about these microchips, and they're really concerned of how this actually gets inserted under the skin. It sounds horrible. And if you just show them what that actually means, how quickly it goes, how painless it is, then that has taken out a lot of the fear from your client. So we obviously stock all the stuff that you need for your pets, and bedding, treats, all the preventative medications and toys. And you get that all in one shop that's dedicated to just your pets. You don't have to walk up and down an aisle between the washing machine liquid and everything else. It's a dedicated boutique experience where you have a person who's going to talk to you and tell you all about these things in the shop and give you the information that you need. That makes the difference in a shopping experience, because they're family. They're not just things, they are part of the family unit. And that is the part that we need to celebrate and be very careful about, to honor and trust and respect. So what are the things then that makes it, just to follow on, what makes it different in a retail environment that you get from the EberVet group? The client will be greeted by name. You will get that personal attention which you don't get in Pick n Pay, we talked about before. You're going to get information about the products, not just about the products, just about all sorts of other things. People can talk to a real person that can answer the questions and the concerns that your client have. You can obtain a product that you might not stock, but you have other resources where you can get these products from. The advice is always free and sound advice, okay? There's an easy way of paying. There's not long queues that you're going to have to stand in. It's going to be chop chop to get that done. We will even help you to the car and even deliver to your clients, to the client's home if that is necessary. And then obviously there's resources. We communicate with you all the time through social media. We will have a telephonic conversation with you if need to, if we need to communicate something with you, like a product that we didn't have and now we do. And obviously the website, WhatsApps, those are all sources of information that you don't readily get anywhere else. And then obviously we also cater for other species, not just dogs and cats. So we need to do a few important things. And these are the things that's going to put you just that little edge over the edge of why a client will come to your particular shop. Because remember, there are other vet shops that also has a client experience that we have. But what's going to make you stand out, and what we believe that the EberVet group does, is we make sure that the client is actually there's a relationship between us and the client. And how do you do that? It's simple. People like to be liked. We need attention. We want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to be validated as being important. So a very straightforward, easy thing. Just try and remember the client's names and their pets. It's a nice little game to put these two together. It's something in the client that reminds you of something. Okay? Snippets of conversation about things that they talked about last time they were in. And great if you could remember that they mentioned before that they're going to get a new puppy at some stage. And this is a great thing. If you could remember that that actually was said last time and you bring that up now, isn't that a great window of opportunity? Or maybe something more sinister, in that their husband was in hospitals, taken up in hospital with something. If you remember that and ask how that's going, that will mean, or that the perception will be there, and it's a true perception, is that you care. Obviously, if you can remember what the pet's foods and treats were like before, that would be fantastic. And also the ailments. Say there was a cat, very old cat, who had all his teeth unfortunately pulled, and you remember Messiah the cat, and he didn't have any teeth, you will know that they need only soft food. That's all that they can eat. So you will take them straight away to the pouches, and that client will be extremely impressed that you remembered something important like that. So even in the client's ailments we talked about before. So, you know, when people are ill or when they're not well, and you remember that and you take the time and the care to actually talk to them and ask them how that's going, that's a great way of making contact and having that relationship with people. And obviously, we always want to build that on a health of knowledge. The pet health knowledge is important because that's where they're coming to you to ask you questions about that. So we, as an EberVet group, we need to be really clued up on pet health. Okay? Behavior is even better. So if they come on with an issue that it's weeing in the house or the puppy training, just basic training, it would be great if you can give that little few tips and pointers on how to deal with something like that. If they don't have a product, you must know where to source it, right? And our reputation as a place where you come to because people really care about your pet, that stretches a little bit further, and that you want to be sure that the people that you are recommending needs to be really reputable people, whether it's an adoption agency, a breeder, doesn't matter. You need to be sure that you can take your own pet there, and especially people want to have them in pet hotels. You must be totally okay with the fact that you will take your own pet there and offer the advice on basic healthcare we talked about before. This is very important because when it comes to remedies, and we're talking about remedies and not drugs, because in the retail, in the vet shop retail environment, there are some drugs that you're not allowed to sell. So it's a little bit easier for the vet shop people, not so easy for the people in clinics because they have other products there that we're allowed to sell. So be very careful when it comes to health issues. People coming in with a health issue of a pet, say runny tummy, vomiting or whatever, be sure that you know at what stage do you need to say, maybe you need to go see a veterinarian about this. Okay, so that is important. That's another module that we're busy working on, and you'll have access to that. And so these treatments is very important, that you know what is a safe way to actually offer advice. Okay, so even all the side effects and the contraindications of the products that you sell. For instance, do you have a tick or a flea or a worm product that you don't give for pregnant animals? For instance, there's a certain age before you can start giving it safely. Those are the kind of things that you need to have in your head. You don't want to have to pull out the label, insert, and start reading, because the client can read as well. This is something that you have to know up front. Okay, and then obviously this is information they're going to ask you in a vet shop, in a retail environment, but how do you prevent things like distemper parvo? Because remember, our group is not just retail, it's not just clinics, and it's not just preventative healthcare and basic care, and it's not just welfare work. Those are the things that we do. We start from people who don't have an income, we help them, up to the person who can afford the best possible treatment possible. But in that range, all of those things need to be diseases that can be prevented. So we want to be in an environment. If you're in a vet shop, you do know that we have clinics. So you need to, and not just EberVet clinics, but there are other clinics around you, clinics that you are happy to also say, go there. You know, they're great vets. So we recommend you, amend them. So it will be interesting that you will know that if you provide that fantastic experience, they will come back to you for their flea and tick treatment and worm stuff and food, but for their medical things, they will go to the vet. And you'll be surprised that if they have a better experience with you, selling experience, they'll come back for stuff that they can actually get at the clinic. Okay? So talking about, again, pet sitters, breeders, welfare and vet clinics, you need to be happy to refer people there because you think they are good enough for your own pets, right? So always great to know more about other animals than dogs and cats. So if you have a knowledge of birds or guinea pigs or rabbits, all that sort of stuff, is very helpful because that's where people come to for advice. Right, so we're talking still in the EberVet Pet Share, shopping experience of excellence. So where will they hear from us? They have started to all over the place, and because of our marketer, Tony Young husband, we have been pretty much all over the place. We've been on television, Onze Gedagtes a few times. We're often in printed media like the Great and Mail and the news. We've even been in Huisgenoot and the U magazine and even Rapport. So people have heard from us, and it could be the very first time they hear us that they just got our telephone number from a friend or in the directory and just gave you a call. So a call to the clinic or the vet shop is the very first possible opportunity that you have to start a relationship that can last and should last for the rest of their pets' lives and beyond, and any other pets that they might acquire. So we can't mess this up, right? But Tony can do all of this fantastically well. And if you don't give them that excellent experience in your shop or your clinic, then that was pretty much a waste of time. Okay, so the other way that they get in contact with the EberVet group is obviously just walking past the shop. So here we are quite careful that we have at least a good sign. They can see this is about animals. It is clean. It's interesting inside. And you cannot make the mistake that this is, you have your nails done here. This is about pets, okay? So that brings in the client into the shop. Right, now they are in the shop, and this is where the real stuff happens. So a client walks in. So seeing that most of our clients are female, we did the female in, our client in a female form. So just quickly to orientate yourself, this is the layout pretty much of the Caledon Vet Shop. Come in with a door. There we have our shop assistant or sales assistant, and there's our client, right? So this is pretty much the layout. They have the exotics. All their beds are on this side. Their food, the bondies, frozen food is there. The bird stuff is in there, and there's the counter, and then with all the other remedies at the back. So what normally happens, they walk through the door, and as soon as possible, this needs to happen. You need to make eye contact. You need to acknowledge the fact that this person is coming to your shop and you're aware of that. Okay, don't let this person roam around here endlessly and not being helped, served, or even acknowledged that they exist. Okay, so first thing happens is you acknowledge their presence. This person can go one of two ways. They can go straight to your counter and you can start having a conversation about what the client needs. Or alternatively, this person could start roaming around, okay, between all of this. And it's very important to look at your layout and make sure that it's easy for clients to actually move around all over the place and that your layout is logical. The pet foods are all together, all the exotics are together, all the beddings are all together. Okay, so say for instance, this person comes in and starts roaming. As soon as you have the opportunity, you need to move from your counter. You do not sit here and let them help themselves. This person needs help. You get out from the counter and you make the contact. Okay? Now, traditionally, we probably, and I do it myself, and I've done it many occasions, and is that we just say, how can I help you? Because that's kind of the obvious thing. The person's obviously here for some help or advice or something. So the question is, how can I help you? So I encourage you to start thinking about different ways on how to connect, because you want to struck up a conversation with this person, a relationship with this person, and you want to put them at ease, because sometimes a shop like this or a clinic can be a bit intimidating with all the stuff that they see. They might not want to tell you how little they know about animals. They might not know what to ask for. So you want to put them very much at ease, that they're welcome here. You are there to help them. So try and make the connection with something that has nothing to do with pets, maybe. You can, seeing that we're in COVID time, you can compliment them on an interesting mask that they are wearing, where they got that from, or the color of their nail polish. Something that just makes that conversation, just break the ice, and that you have a connection with one another. And then you can start the conversation about their pets. Ask them what kind of pets do they have. And then we can go over to what is it that they actually are in need of, right? So they might not know. They might just have a brand new puppy or kitten, and they don't know that it needs bedding, that it needs a litter tray, that it needs litter in it, pet litter in it, that they need food, that they need 2 bowls, they need all sorts of things. They might have no clue. So it's your job to find out what are the needs of the client. Right, so you've had this conversation, it's all going very well, and then you go to checkout, and here you have another opportunity to educate the clients and obviously help them to do the best for their pets. And that would be in the form of asking and reminding about parasite control. There's normally the inside parasites, the worms, and then the outside, the ectoparasites, fleas and ticks. And remember, your client might not know that deworming needs to happen every 3 months. It might not know that your flea control that it's using, Protect or whatever, that they're only putting on once a year. So be very clear that when you talk about this, that you kind of assume, or don't make it that the clients look stupid about it, but then ask them, okay, we just want to check that, this is the worm, and that we recommend that it's done every 3 months. So people might think it only needs to be done twice a year. And they might not know that fleas has anything to do with tapeworm. That's a connection that people do not make at all. And why would they? Where would they get that information? But you are going to actually tell them that, and this client will then leave with a lot more information and hopefully purchases that is going to be in the interest of their pet. Right, and then so all of this done, then make it very quick and easy to pay, snap scan or whatever, and hopefully the client will leave a happy client. That's also still not the end. So maybe this client needed something you didn't have. So your follow-up telephone calls, keeping in mind that you are going to make contact with them and let them know, and this is very, very important. If you make a promise to them that you will get them something or phone them back at a particular time, then you must keep your promise. You must get a system where you're going to be reminded of that, and you need to keep your word, because this relationship, like everything else, is all about trust. I need to trust you that you're going to do what you say. The biggest and the best way to get trust is to do what you say, right? Do not forget this very important, you might think is unimportant, but it's not. So if you say that that product's going to be there by Tuesday, and sometimes it is out of your hands that it might not happen, please make contact with the clients and explain why that hasn't happened. And even better, if you know that information up front, then renegotiate your commitment that it's not going to happen on Tuesday, it's going to happen on Thursday. But that trust link must never ever be broken, and it's keeping your word. Simple as that. Okay, so next one, the client can go home or leave your place in two ways. It can be an extremely happy client, and it's going to tell lots of other people about the absolute fantastic experience they've just had. They might, if they're social media savvy and interested, go post that on Facebook. They might even go start following us on Facebook. They might post an interesting picture on Instagram or share your post, our post on Tony's post on Facebook with everybody else. This is what we want. We want people to tell everybody else that we're great. Okay? Or alternatively, if they did not have that experience, this is going to happen. They're still going to tell other people, but guess what? They're going to tell people not to go. They will still do Facebook posting, but it's not going to be a happy message. And the same with Instagram. And they're not going to share our post and tell everybody else how great we are. We don't want that. Okay. So how do we grow a business? It's really easy. It's logical. It's common sense, but it's also quite complex. So this is straightforward. You want to increase your income and you want to decrease your expense. Really simple. And how do you do that? And I've just broken it down to a few things. First thing, you want to increase your rand value of every transaction that you have. Okay, so if you have 10 transactions in your shift, you want to increase that transaction. Every transaction is worth 100. And you want to increase it to as much as possible, but even if it's just to 110. And how do you do that? Every transaction you want to increase it by upselling or an add-on. So upselling would be buy a bigger bag of food because it's actually less expensive for the client per day to feed the dog, right? Per kilogram of food. A little packet costs actually quite a lot per kilogram, but a bigger bag doesn't. And then you want to add on. We were talking about that last connection that you have, the last opportunity at the counter where you can actually add something like a tick remedy, a Brevector, or you can add a worm tablet or a shampoo or a treat or a whatever. Okay, that is how you increase your average transaction charge. That's what that's called. Right, next thing you do is you want them back. You want them on a regular frequency back. You increase the frequency of the client visits. You don't want them to go buy at Pick n Pay or the other vet shop or the clinic. You want them back, and that's how you do with loyalty cards. There's an incentive for them to come back because at the end of the loyalty card being filled in, they're going to get something back, right? They're going to get a discount. That's just one of the ways, but we want to increase the frequency of the client visits. And then the third thing, as we were talking about before, we want those positive client referrals. We want them to tell everybody what a great experience they've just had at this vet shop, at this clinic. And you have to go there. It's the only place where I will ever go to for my pet's needs. That is the kind of message that we want at the end. Right, so expensive. Once we've done all of that, that's great, but it doesn't help if we waste it away here. So how do we do this? Our biggest expense, as you might know, is inventory. It's all that stock sitting on your floors and in your shelves. So you want to make sure are a few things. Lots of things you have to be sure, but here are a few things. Make sure that your markups are properly done. All right? If you make a mistake here, you're not making as much on a product when you sell it as you should. Make sure that your mix of products is ideal. So you want to have more than one type of food that you want to sell. You want to have a cheaper food and more expensive food. You want, because they're different people, different incomes, right? You don't want stock that expires because that is just the waste. You don't want that. So you want to move your old stock forward in your shelf, right? Your newer stock goes to the back. where the expiry date is a little bit longer. And then you want to have trigger levels on your software to know that you never run out of stock. Doesn't help if you don't have the stock in. If people want something, you don't have it. Oh, that's a cardinal sin. You can't possibly have it. Be very sure that your inventory control is tip top. Right, next thing, you don't want to waste any overheads, right? You don't want to put the aircon on a nice mild day of 22 degrees outside. You don't need the aircon on. This thing chows electricity. You don't want to waste being on the telephone for longer than you need to stationary, etc. And do not take unnecessary sick leave, because you know salaries is about, in a vet shop, interesting enough, salaries are about the same as in clinics, about 30-35% of our overheads. So we don't do this if it's not necessary. Make sure that when you're not coming to work, that's a really good reason, because your friend or your colleague will need to fill in for you, and that costs extra money. Okay, that's an expense. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much how you can grow this. Okay, so just to quickly go back again, so why clients would come back is because you know they are, because you greeted them by name. You gave them personal attention. You remembered their pet's name. You remembered what happened to their child that fell out of a tree. You give them information they can use and that they trust. You're not oohing and ahhing about the information. You're giving them with a sense of, because I know what I'm talking about, is trust. You answer their concerns and their questions, right? You have answers for their concerns. They're worried sometimes when they come in. You can get them products if you don't have any. You always give them free advice on animal health, doesn't matter what they need, or at least refer them to a place where you can't. You also cater for other animals besides dogs and cats. It's easy to pay. We help you to the car with your purchase. We can deliver to your house, and we are great at communication because you are there, very easy to provide solutions to your clients' needs. Sometimes your clients does not know what they need, and it's your job to find out what that is. And that all happens in this little magic place. Okay, so the needs of our clients might not be things that you can see. The needs of our clients are emotional sometimes. First thing, I want to keep my pet as healthy as possible. How do I do that? I give it the best possible nutrition I can give, and I try and prevent diseases by, for instance, vaccinations, or I deworm them regularly, or I keep them free of ticks so they don't get binary. That is the first thing that I can do. It's my first need that I have as a client, as a pet owner. I also want to keep my pet happy and engaged. Okay, they have a brain. They need to be kept busy. We do that with toys and treats, and we give them advice on puppy training and things like that. But most of all, we want to keep our animal friends with us for as long as possible, and we want to keep them healthy as long as possible. Okay, and that we do, the more we know about animals, the better obviously we can serve our clients. So it is always in our interest to learn as much as we can. So whether you're making use of the EberVet Academy modules and training, there's so much stuff that you can learn yourself. Obviously you will, when you go through the initiation process, you will have the HILS training modules, VNA 1 and 2, but there are loads of other places. Royal Canin has courses. There's a lot of the companies that have courses that you can take. And we, as the EberVet group, you know that is one of our biggest, highest values, and that is continuous learning. Right. So COVID has been a very interesting time, and that has brought out all the stuff that clients are really concerned about. And we at the vet shops and at the clinics, we were a huge source of information, and also a place where they can get they can talk about the concerns about their pets, and they had loads of questions, and these are the questions that came up. Can my pet get it? That was kind of the very first thing that they wanted to know. Can I give it to my pet, or can my pet give it to me? Those were probably the three top things that people were really concerned about. The other thing is, are you still open? That was something they were really worried about. And we were so lucky that we're in this industry and that we're essential service. It's one of the few industries in the world that managed to do well and keep the doors open. Okay, so it just showed us what the importance of pets in the lives of people were. So that was are you open? And then obviously there were concerns about getting the virus and being exposed to the virus. So will you deliver my food and stuff how quickly can I pay? And this is where SnapScan and all those came about. And what are you doing to keep me safe in your shop? So the sanitizing, the mask, the cleaning of the hands, all of that sort of stuff, they wanted to know, are we doing our bit to protect their pets and themselves? Because in the end of the day, we all know this, she is not just a dog. She's my friend and my only family. And often for older people, that is really all the family that they have. We must never ever underestimate this close bond that people have with animals. That is what we celebrate every day. So thank you for this, for listening. I hope it's been helpful and valuable. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to contact any of the staff members in the EberVet team.